friends! Today I am going to show you step by step how to crochet this very simple braided headband. But first, let's talk about what you're going to need for this project. You're going to need a crochet hook. I'm using a 4.5mm hook today. You're also going to need a yarn needle to weave in your ends and sew the headband together in the end. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, as well as a few stitch markers. And of course, you're going to need some yarn. I'm using this beautiful worsted weight wool. It's Briggs & Little Regal wool that I custom dyed with avocado skins. This color is from the Exhaust dye bath. Check it out in the corner. So gather your supplies and let's jump into it. One last thing before we start. For gauge, this project is going to be 4 stitches for 1 inch and 5 rows for 1 inch. We're going to begin this project with a slip knot. I make a slip knot by creating a little U, holding both ends of the yarn with one hand, then I twist the U over on itself, and then I put my hand in through that loop and grab one of the tails. And when you pull it, that's a slip knot. From here, chain 21. 1, 2, 3, 20, and 21. From here, we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook, 1 and 2. And then we're going to single crochet across. At the end of this row, chain 1 and turn. Here I am at the end of row number 1. I'm going to finish my single crochet and then chain 1 and turn. For row number 2, this is where we're going to be doing something a little bit interesting. First, I'm going to count out 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to stitch mark that spot. Then I'm going to count 5 stitches again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to stitch mark that spot. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll stitch mark that spot. And then after that there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we've got our stitch markers marked. Start row number 2 by single crocheting into those first 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to reattach with a single crochet into the next stitch. So single crochet into the next stitch. There we go. And then we're going to single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So that'll make up 5, 2, there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5. And then we're going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to reattach into the next stitch with a single crochet. And we're going to single crochet all the way to the next marker, 5 stitches. And now I'm going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'll single crochet into the next stitch there, and all the way to the end, which should have 5 single crochets there. 3, 4, and 5. Now at the end of row number 2, I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work. For row number 3, it's going to be pretty similar to row number 2 with a little change, so follow along here. We're going to single crochet into the first 5 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to reattach with a single crochet across 5 stitches. There's number 3, there's number 4, and there's number 5. And then we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to reconnect with a single crochet on the other side, and then single crochet to the next marker. It'll be 5 stitches. So there's 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to chain 5 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'll reattach it at the other end and crochet to the end of the row. At the end of row number 3, chain 1 and turn. Now from rows number 4 all the way to row number 105, we're going to repeat the exact same thing as row number 3. So we're going to single crochet into the first 5 stitches. Then we're going to chain 5. Then we're going to single crochet into the next 5 stitches, and then chain 5. Single crochet into the next 5 stitches, chain 5, and single crochet in the final 5 stitches. After that, chain 1 and turn. We're going to repeat that all the way up to row number 105. If that doesn't reach all the way around your head, keep going with this row repeat until your band is long enough to reach around your head. I'm going to zoom through the rest of this part because it's just a repeat, and when I finish making the headband, come back here and I will show you how to change those weird chain 5s into a beautiful braided detail. And here I am coming up to the end of row number 105. I'm going to put my last single crochet in, and I'm just going to pull a long loop because we're done with that for now, but we'll come back to it in a minute. At this point, the rectangle measures about 20 inches by about 7 inches. Now we're going to do the braided portion. For this next part, I'm going to begin by laying the work vertically with the original tail up at the top. Next, I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to stick it into that stitch where the chain 6 kind of comes out of. I'm going to stick it into that middle stitch. And I'm going to hook on that chain 6 from the first row, and I'm going to pull it through that stitch. And that creates this loop. And now what I'm going to do is the chain 5 underneath that, I'm going to pull it up through that loop from the bottom up, and then I'm going to pull that really tight. And now I have another loop, and I'm just going to pass the chain 5 from the next row through the loop from the back to the front, and I'm going to do that all the way down to where we're still working, where the yarn is actually still connected to the work. Let me just speed through this because it's a bit tedious, but you'll see how cool it looks when it's done. And we are going to be doing this on all of the chain 5s for the entire rectangle, so it's going to be 105 loops times 3. Well, that took forever, but I've finally finished pulling all of the loops through to make this beautiful braided detail. I pressed this with my iron and I used the steam setting, so it's nice and flat now. So for my last row, row 106, I'm going to single crochet all the way to the first chain 5 loop, so that's single crochet into the first 5 stitches, and then I'm going to single crochet 1 time into that chain 5 loop. And then otherwise I'll single crochet across to the next chain 5 loop, and then I'll put 1 single crochet in the chain 5 loop. This is going to create a nice sturdy straight edge for when we're putting together the headband, and also it's going to lock in those chains so that your braids will be secure. Okay, so now that we've got that done, we're going to do up this first seam. I've decided I'm going to do mine up with a single crochet, so I'm going to put this right sides together, and then I'm going to put my hook in to the working loop and also into the corner stitch of the other side of the fabric. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through. And now I'm just going to single crochet across to put that seam together. You could slip stitch or blanket stitch if you want to. I think the single crochet is going to be good though, because this is going to have a little bit of tension on it and it'll flatten out nicely, I think. So I'm just going to zoom through this seam, and when I get to the end of the seam, I will show you what we're going to do next to put this thing together. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it yet, but at this point the headband is about 5 inches across. So it was 7 inches before, and after we put those braids in, it is now 5 inches. Okay, so we're actually done with the crochet part of this. So I'm just going to tie off 1 knot here, just so that I don't have to weave in this end later. And now I'm actually going to yarn over and pull my loop through, but I'm going to give a long tail because we're going to do some sewing now. Okay, so for this part, we want the seam to be in the middle. We're going to tug on it a little bit just to sort of flatten it out, because this is what it's going to look like on the reverse side. And this is going to be the back bottom of the headband. So this is not going to be where the top is. This is what the top is going to look like. Isn't that pretty? Let's flip it back inside out. And now what we're going to do is we're going to flip that first side over all the way around, and we'll do the same for the other side. And it sort of wants to fold along that seam anyway, so it's pretty easy to get it into that position. Now what we're gonna do is thread up our needle. And we want this to be as invisible as we can make it. So I'm going to just take my sewing needle and I'm going to grab onto the first stitch after the seam on the reverse side. So the yarn is attached on one side, I'm grabbing the first stitch after the seam on the other side. And I'm just gonna pull that through from underneath. So I'm putting the needle under the stitch and pulling it up through. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side now. So I'm gonna put the needle up through the bottom and draw it down. So I'm gonna grab the stitch from back to front and I'm gonna pull it tight. And then I'll grab the stitch on the reverse side from back to front, and then I'll pull it tight. So I'm just going to repeat that exact same stitch all the way down. I'm gonna go all the way around the headband until I get back to where I started, and from there we're going to add some decorations to make this a little bit more whimsical. Okay, so I've pretty much finished the headband here, and I've got my tail that I've not finished weaving in yet because I don't know if I want to do anything else with it, but I'm going to just sort of leave that for now, and I want to do a little bit of decorating to this headband to make it just a little bit more whimsical. By folding it over and sewing it like we did, it's much thicker and it feels very luxurious, I want to say. It feels fancy because it's got these nice braids on both of the sides, and then in the middle it just looks so cute, and it kind of has a bit of a botanical feel to it. So I got out some felt leaves that I have, and I was playing around with them, and I was thinking it might be kind of cute to pretend like this is a vine and then just sort of put some felt leaves on. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna use some of this glue. This is just gonna set it in place for me, and then tomorrow I'm gonna stitch it down. So I think I'm gonna put a leaf every couple of inches, and I'll make sure that they are all the way on the fabric. And then I think tomorrow what I'll do is I'll do some stitching through them to make it a little bit more secure, and also I think it'll look better. But for tonight, I'm just going to put a bit of glue all over them and stick them down. Okay, so I've stuck on a whole bunch of these felt leaves with my glue, and I'm just gonna let this dry overnight. And in the morning when I come back, I'm going to stitch down each of these leaves with a blanket stitch around the outside. I think I'm gonna use some embroidery floss to jazz it up a bit, and then this is going to be pretty much finished. So, see you in the morning. Okay, so here's what's up. It's the next day now, and I stitched on a bunch of the leaves. I'm gonna stitch the rest of them on with you on camera now. So I'm gonna show you what I did, and then I'm gonna show you how I did it. I did blanket stitches all around the outside of these leaves. They are glued on, but the stitches go through one layer of the crochet, and they secure it. I think they also add a whole lot of whimsy. Is that not so cute? So we are going to get started doing that with some of the remaining leaves. I also have some other bedazzling things. I thought we could add some beads that look like, I don't know, berries maybe, or I have this little acorn charm that I made a long time ago. I've got these little studs. I think gold would be cute with this. Maybe some gold studs on here. I don't know yet. Let's get these leaves stitched on first. For this part, I'm going to use embroidery floss to stitch this on, and I'm gonna get a nice long piece, probably I don't know, 3 feet. And I'm gonna use all 6 strands of floss. Embroidery floss comes with 6 strands of individual thread. You can use 1, 2, or as many as you want when you're doing embroidery stuff. I'm just gonna use all 6 strands. And I'm just gonna tie a knot in the end. This is gonna hide between the layers of the felt of the leaf and the crochet, so it won't be visible. It'll be tucked underneath. All right, so first I'm going to stab underneath the leaf, about 1 centimeter in, and I'm just gonna pull the needle up and draw the yarn through. And then you'll see that knot that we tied is gonna hide underneath that leaf. Now we're gonna get started on a blanket stitch. So for that, I'm gonna stab down into the crochet work, but just through 1 layer. And then I'm gonna come back up through the crochet work as well as through the leaf, and I'm gonna pull it all through. There's gonna be a loop left behind here. See the loop? And we're gonna pass the needle through that loop and draw the stitch closed. That's gonna make up our blanket stitch. And then we'll do the same thing a little bit ahead. So stab down through the crochet work, then up through the crochet work and up through the leaf, and draw it through. There will be a loop, pass the needle through the loop, draw it tight. There we go, there's another blanket stitch. And you can make these close together, you can make them far apart. This is gonna add extra security for those leaves. If you're adding anything, I guess I'm just bedazzling mine. If you don't wanna bedazzle yours, that's totally okay. But if you want to, and you're stitching down felt shapes of any kind, the blanket stitch adds a cute little whimsical, but also structural element. So I am going to finish stitching down each and every one of these leaves with blanket stitches around every edge, and then I will come back here and show you what I'm going to do with all of the fun beads and bedazzlements I've got here. And hey, if you've made it this far, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on the video. Okay, so I finished stitching on all of the leaves, and I think it looks so cute. Does this not look adorable? I love the leaves. I'm so happy I did that. Okay, so now let's add some bedazzlement. I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I think these studs, I don't know if they'll hold on well. Maybe we should just stick to a few beads, just little beads. I think I'll do the little yellow ones to start because I feel okay about those. So I'm just gonna stitch these on. I'm not really doing anything special. I'm just gonna tie a couple of knots, I think, and stab through the beads a few times. And then I'll just bring the thread to the next place that I wanna add another bead. So I'm just gonna tie it on like that, give it a good double knot. And I think I'll just sort of feel out where I wanna put these beads. I'll stitch them all on wherever I end up thinking it looks right. I think some of the yellow ones, maybe some of the other colors, we'll see. So I'm just gonna zoom through this because it's gonna be much of the same, just me tying and stitching on a whole bunch of beads. So I will meet you when I finish putting these on and we'll see what's next. Okay guys, it's finished. What do you think? Look at this adorable headband. Is this not the most whimsical winter headband you have ever seen? I think this is going to be for me. I was thinking I might make it as a gift for someone with the little berries and the leaves, the braided detail. You can see how the braids that were on the sides, they've kind of squared off the headband itself. So now it has this beautiful edge. Look at the edge. There's one edge and there's the other edge. It's like this beautiful, clean edge, and it's wide enough to cover your ears. The final measurement across here is just about 2.5 inches across. It's about 21 inches around. If you need to make it longer though, totally doable. But let me know if you make this one and send me a picture. Anyway, friends, that is all I've got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you come back next week to see what I make. Thanks for watching. Bye!